Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you are calling in from today. My name is Palesa Lehasa, and what an honor, what a privilege it is that we are meeting today on our 11th Sunday Summit on establishing the establishment of internal ecosystems concerning the Lumi. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Chong in our midst. I would also like to acknowledge Ambassador Konata on the call as well this evening. Welcome everybody. Before we start with our session, please, we would like to know where you are joining us from. There's a chat box that you can use to let us know where you are joining us from today. Would really appreciate that. And as we are going to be starting our session, we have Lerato on the call as well, who's going to be part of our discussions, where she's going to be letting us in on the establishment of the database in as far as, again, building ecosystems is concerned in terms of what do we want to buy, or if you want to sell something, what is it that you have on offer. So she's going to be explaining a little bit more on that. Now, we're going to be following our discussion with the establishment of ecosystems, how we can be able to go about doing that. And Dr. Chong is going to be taking us through that process this evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, without wasting any further time, I'm going to be handing over now to Lerato. Lerato, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Palisa. Good evening, good day, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are joining us from in the world this evening. I'm just going to be quickly talking about the initiative that we have launched around building of a database. So maybe let me start by positioning it this way and say our anticipation and expectation is that everybody on this call is a leader in their community, in their, if at minimum, everybody is a leader of self. Over and above, you are a leader of your family and a leader of your community and organizations that you might be involved with. So, because of that, you have probably been part of this Lumi revolution, and you are so excited about it and have introduced many people to this whole thing, and people have registered and they have Swifin accounts, or people are registering. You are in the process of doing it. You have groups that you have created in your locality where you are communicating all the things that you hear and find interesting that are happening from this session. So, effectively, the idea of building databases is that we want to build a database with the objectives. Let me start with talking about the objectives. The objective is one, we want to be able to have ease of communication. So we know that when there is something that is happening and we need to communicate it out, we will be communicating to all the people who are on the database, and all those people will then be able to communicate to the people who are on their databases. So it means there is two levels of this database. The first level is that you will give us the information that we need to put you on the database, and you will then maintain a database of the people that are in your circle, in your groups, and who are all your downliners and stuff like that. And when communication comes out, we are able to dissipate that communication through the levels of individuals that are on all these databases. And I think over and above, we want to make sure that there is consistent information that is going out, and we make sure that everybody knows what is happening. Everybody knows what SOAT is, what ecosystems are, what Eco6 is. So all the important things that build up around the Lumi, so that everybody is aware. So that's the first objective, ease of communication. And I think over and above that, we want to make sure that we are we are talking to people who will be able to build ecosystems in their locality. So once you have that database and you, as part of this database, the information that we would like to collect is what areas of interest do you have? So, which means if you're interested in perhaps buying or selling whatever item it might be, those are some of the things that you can sent through and put on part of these databases. And I think over and above, once you have that in your local area, it becomes also easy to understand what people are looking for and how to build your ecosystems around those items that people are mostly looking to procure and what you are able to offer as products and services. So that is the big thing around this database. The objectives, I've communicated the purpose of it, and effectively the information that we require is personal identifiable information. So this means this is information that pertains to your name, your email address, your gender, your age group, your telephone for purposes of SMS and WhatsApp. Um, Also, as I mentioned, the area of interest. So, because in South Africa there is a POPIA Act, so which means people, if I am going to be processing or handling your personal identifiable information, I need to have consent. In the European states, there's GDPR, and I think that applies across many states across the world. So you need to be able to get consent from all the people that you're going to be putting on your database. And when you send us this information, effectively, you are giving us consent to handle and also process this particular information and be able to communicate back to you. So I think it's important to just highlight that you need to be the people that are going to be on the databases need to give the appropriate consent. So, as mentioned, the information we are looking at is your name, email address, your gender, age group, telephone for SMS and WhatsApp if you have different ones, and also your areas of interest and goods and services that you are looking to sell or procure. If please send through that information on the Lumi for Africans with a K at gmail.com email address. The email address is on your screen right now. So if you can send through that information so that we can start building up this database. And I think on that note, I will take a bow. Thank you so much, Palisa. Back to you. I will put the information that's required in the chat as well, so you will have it there. Thank you, Palisa. Back
Thank
to you.
you. Thank you, Lerato, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to check on the chats. I see everyone. We have guests from Lesotho. We have guests from Nigeria, from South Africa. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us this evening. I'm going to be referring to evening because we in South Africa. It's evening now. Excuse me if you where you are. It's still daytime. I'm going now to be handing over to Dr. Chong, who is going to be taking us through the process or processes that we can start to initiate in our local areas in order for us to start building or creating ecosystems that will ensure that we use our Lumis optimally. So, Dr. Chong, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here again. I'm just coming off of an exciting launch of the University of the State of the African Diaspora. And I want you all to know that there is a faculty called Empowering African Families, which is really a sort of a build out of the NatFam program to a bachelor's, master's, doctoral, and PhD levels, so that it is something that you can get involved in and get accreditation for, etc. So, what we're doing here is laying the groundwork for people to get involved in all the other faculties, not just our own, but getting the mindset change, which is a part of your orientation if you're going to go into the university at all. So here we're going to start with our first mindset change in terms of how do we change our mindsets so that we can accommodate economic development. Economic development, wealth, financial freedom, whatever you want to call it, is a result of a mindset or worldview. That worldview needs to accommodate the fact that there is no lack anywhere in any country on earth. Every country has been invested with those systems of every sort that will give it the ability to be self-sufficient, every single country. And what has happened is that those from outside of each country who have seen the wealth of these countries have come in to steal and plunder. And it is the responsibility of those within each country to protect the national assets, and moving from the national assets to come down to the regional assets within a nation, the county assets, the parish assets, the community assets, the village assets, the compound assets, and the family assets. Because every family has assets that go right back to the family of origin. However, many things have happened, and we are where we are today. A plundered race, an enslaved people, but we have the opportunity of being the generation that is going to reverse all that, and very, very quickly, because we have been reintroduced to the fact that we have the power to make the changes. We have been reintroduced to the fact that we are, in fact, the most knowledgeable because of our melanin, the most compassionate because of our melanin, the most social, the most spiritual, and the most economically rich. And they all are a result of our melanin. And so we need to start using that increased capacity that we have and throwing off all the conditioning practices of those who have had us enslaved. And I am going to let the other professionals who are coming on talk about the actual ecosystems. I'm laying the groundwork for it here. So I'm not going to tell you how to buy and sell, right? They're going to tell you how to do that. But if we do not have this groundwork laid, then we will always be under the control of those outside. And I want to start with 3 basic things that we have been fooled to believe about. If we eat the food, wear the clothing, and adapt or adopt the culture of another nation, that nation will always control us. That is because food, clothing, and shelter are part of the strongest cultural identifiers of a people. If you go into Chinatown in any country in the world, you will see the Chinese style of buildings with the little flare that goes up on the edge. You will see, and this is for old areas within Jamaica. We have Chinatown, and now they're not building with that style. But I remember when it was right here in Jamaica. So food, clothing, and shelter are the three things that most project and control a people. Culture, language is the next one, right? So it is really food, clothing, and communication. And once we are tied to that and that alone, and I'm looking in the mirror because the only language I'm fluent in is English. I haven't a clue about any of my original languages. And so that has got to change. Because if I keep speaking somebody else's language, they control me. If I keep wearing their food, wearing their clothes, they control me. If I keep eating their food, they control me. And so those are the things that we're starting with here in our ecosystems, to take back the control of those areas so that we can start controlling ourselves. So I'm going to stop right here and move on to the next speaker. If there are questions that we need to ask, I don't know if my time is up, but if there are any questions that you would like to ask at this point of how this change in our biometric data takes place, then you may ask at this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chong, for laying that groundwork for what ecosystems are. We're going to be handing over to Ambassador Konata now, who's going to be taking us through how we can be able to build internal ecosystems. Thank you. Over to you, Ambassador.
Hotep, and thank you. That's Palesa. I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
It is correct. Thank you.
Okay, great. I must commend Dr. Chong. She's doing an incredible job. And the thing about it, one of the key things in life is support. Whatever you're coming with, you need support. So you need a support system. Hence, you have an ecosystem. You have two basic people who are two basic type of groups, right, that support the ecosystem. And the two basic groups are, of course, consumers and producers. All right. All right. Let me just give you an insight of who I am. I'm Roving Ambassador Konata Bellucci for SWORD. I am also Senior Manager, Jamaica Luminaires Secretariat, based in Jamaica. I'm also a member of the Swifin support team. I facilitate training sessions every Saturday for Swifin support team, which we've been doing more than 6 months now. So, and I had the great and wonderful opportunity of becoming a part of this movement from October of last year. I turned on my Swifin ID. I got my registration and everything like that. So, all right, before I go into some of the details of what I had done, let me just give you an overview. All right, there's a law called the law of compensation, and for those people who have not heard this before, I would recommend that you take a note of this, because this is very, very important. Right, wherever you are now in terms of the income that you're earning, right, it comes under a law called the law of compensation. What is the law of compensation? Basically, what is the law of compensation states? The three tenets of the law is the need for what you do, one, your ability to do it, and the difficulty of replacing you. Right, let me repeat. Whatever you're earning now, It depends on three major things. One is the need for what you do, right? Your ability to do it, and the difficulty of replacing you. So whatever you're earning now comes under those three tenets. Whatever you're doing, is there a need for what you do? You know, if you got a university degree and in your community you have 100 people and 50 or 60 of them have their university degree, it means it comes under the law of demand and supply. So if the need for what you do is greatly in demand, then that will increase your income level, right? Let us move into how you create wealth. I heard a gentleman, I think his name was Chancellor Ricky. I heard him on Loomis City. They had some summit some time ago, and he mentioned about the three type of persons: poor people, rich people, and wealthy people, right? You mentioned about poor people running down, always running down money, always, you know, moving towards money, trying to get the money. It's like a rabbit moving after a carrot. And then you have rich people who are talking about their assets and how much they own and all of these things. And then you have wealthy people who basically move towards their ideals, create an ideal life. And coming up from I was a little boy, I heard something similar to that, where it says that small-minded people discuss, people who are small-minded, they discuss people. People with average mind discuss events, and people with great mind discuss ideas. So the long and short of it is that you can actually be pursuing someone else's dream, or you'll be pursuing your own dream, right? So how you create wealth? First thing you do, you have to solve a problem, right? If you look at the Lumi, what problem is the Lumi solving? It is solving a problem of economics, where basically transferring the wealth from the persons who have been suppressed, who have been marginalized and everything like that. I remember one of the creators of the Sufin platform, Dr. Linus, he said that 80% of the persons on the continent are unbanked, which basically means that they don't have any access to financial services. So to solve a problem is the first basic principle in creating wealth. Look where you are in your community. I always say, start with what you have and start where you are. Everyone listening on this call right now, they live somewhere. You live in a community, right? Pay attention to what is in front of you. What problems can you solve in your community using your Lumi, right? Sometimes we're looking outside of ourselves to fix whatever is happening with us. I would recommend that you look within first. Look within yourself, look within your family, look within your community. All solved. Every problem have a solution. Every solution have a problem. So if you look at it that way, I always say change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will definitely change. So the first thing is to solve a problem. So what did I do when I got my Lumi? What I did, because I consider myself to be an entrepreneur, right? I was looking for an opportunity. By the way, everything in life is an opportunity. A person will look at a difficult thing and think of it as an opportunity. A next person will look at an opportunity and see the difficulty, right? So you want to be the person who looks at something that is difficult and create an opportunity from that situation. So what I did, I used to sell soap. So what I did, I started selling the soap that I had, but actually I had purchased the soap with fiat currency, and I started selling the soap in Lumi. So one of the mistakes I made was that I realized that if I sell all of the products that I had purchased with fiat in Lumi, how would I now replenish my stock? So you say the thing about it, you know, don't be afraid to make mistakes, right? Mistakes is what make you grow. Without mistakes, you will not be successful, right? Some people are afraid to fail. Nothing is wrong with failing. Failing leads to success. Without failing, you'll never be successful. So I had to, as I say in Jamaica, wheel and come again. So I had to know, say, all right, I can't sell all the products with straight fiat. I have to now sell it part fiat, part Lumi. So I could now replenish the stock because initially I started purchasing the soap in fiat. So that was one of the things that I started to do. Next thing I started to do was enlightening people about the Lumi. So I told everybody I knew. I told my aunt, and I registered her. I told my cousins, registered them, started registering people in the community. All right, if you understand how the concept of a ripple effect, what is a ripple effect? You throw a stone in the pond, and you see the ripple, the impact of the stone in the pond. You are that stone, right? What type of impact are you going to be making in your community, right? Are you going to be like saying, oh, how can I spend my Lumi? Where can I spend my Lumi? Or are you going to say, listen, how can I solve a problem with the opportunity of the Lumi? Because there are so many problems. And listen, all of you on the call right now are brilliant minds. You have to learn to use your mind in a most effective way. So the first way how you create wealth is to solve a problem. So look for the problems and solve it, and then you begin the process of creating wealth, right? Second thing you do is add value, right? Add value. And the 28th of each month, when we get our Lumi stimulus, what is that doing? That is adding value, right? It started in October of 2020, and it would go all the way until September 2023. It's a 36-month, 3-year stimulus. That is adding value. We are the ones who is going to make the Lumi be more valuable in our lives or less valuable in our lives. How? Because it is a system that is created to give empowerment to us, the global African family. And let me tell you something. There have been a lot of myths about Africa and what we have been doing, the diasporans. And let me tell you something. We are some of the most ingenious, talented, brilliant, abundant, successful people on the planet right now. All we have to do is look at the way you can solve a problem. And there are so many problems. Listen, a problem is something that nobody has to think there. You just wake up in the morning, first problem, you need some breakfast. You need some food to eat. First problem. How you solve that? Look around and see. Are you going to be looking in your neighbor's house or in the next community? No, look in your community. Look in your household. Right? A problem always has the answer exactly from where the problem starts. Right? We have to use your mental capacity, because you create through 3 things. You create through your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. Right? We can't create through any other source that I'm aware of. You create through your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. And let me tell you something. The 3 factors that determine where you're going in life are simple. The first thing is, what do you listen to on a day-to-day basis? What are the things that you're listening to every single day? Are you watching the TV every day or listening to the radio? Well, I heard something said that if you can spend 5 hours listening to the radio or watching TV, or you can become wealthy, but you can't do both. So the first thing you would need to do is just take a break from the mainstream media, right? And tap into wealth building ideas, right? The next thing that determines is the people who you associate with. Are you going to your aunt or your grandmother about building wealth? They can tell you about other things, but they might not be able to tell you how to build wealth. The first thing you would need to do is go and look at some of the people in your community, in your country, and in the world at large who are already wealthy. Anywhere you're going, find someone who is already there and emulate them. Take the good qualities, because not everyone has the qualities that you're looking for, but take the qualities that you need in your life. So the first thing is the things you keep listening. Are you listening to positive thoughts, positive affirmations, things that will tell you how good you are, what you're doing right? Not what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right. Second thing, people you associate with. If you're associating with people who are negative, I almost guarantee that your life will be negative. If you associate with people who are miserable, then your day-to-day life will be one of misery. And let me tell you something, misery loves company, right? However, if you allow yourself to go and discuss ideas with people who have like minds, find somebody who knows more than you and who is already where you are going, right? And you will be one step closer to being there. The next thing is, what are you reading? What type of books are you reading? What type of books are you reading? So the things that you're listening to every day, are you listening to powerful affirmations, talking about wealth, talking about how you can become a better person? Who are the people you're associated with? Where are they going? If they're going nowhere, you're no good. You're not going anywhere. And there's a rule of 5. It says, who are the 5 most important persons in your life? Their income and your income will be the exact same. So if everybody who you communicate with on a close, intimate level, all their incomes are below yours, yours will eventually match theirs, right? And the third important thing is, what are the books that you're reading? There's something about having a physical book and reading it. Because when you're reading a physical book, you shut down your ego and what you think you know, and listening to someone who has already been there and done that, right? So those 3 important factors will show you exactly where you're going. So instead of looking and say, oh, this is the problem, why not be the person who is solving that problem, right? Because remember, you create through 3 areas. You create through your thoughts, you create through your words, and you create through your deeds. Always remember that. So apart from solving problems, adding value, you have the next important way to create wealth is envision positive possibilities. Envision positive possibilities. You look at a world and you say, oh, everybody's poor in this world or in my community, but can you envision or visualize yourself in a better community, in a better world? Sometimes you have to leave your community and come back and develop your community. Sometimes you can stay right there in the community and empower people within your community. But the first person you empower is yourself, right? If you find yourself complaining a lot, it means you have the wrong mindset. So you have to reset your mind. Just like when you hear them talking about the great reset and everything like that. For you to reset something, you have to shut down the original thing and create something new. So if you find yourself complaining about all the problems that you have in life and this not working and that not working, it means you need something called a paradigm shift. It means you need to start to listen to things that are powerful, that encourage you. And if it encourages you, it will encourage others. You need to start associating with more positive people. And thirdly, you need to start to read books about people who have gone through the process of becoming wealthy. And let me tell you something, if there's no process, then you won't have any progress. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because this is how you move through the process of becoming a better person, right? Because always remember this, who you were 5 years ago is not who you are now. And who you will be 5 years from now, you have to start preparing for that eventuality right here, right now, right? So you have to remember the law of compensation I mentioned, the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty of replacing you. So whatever you're doing right now, if it is easy to replace you, it means you need to step up your game. You need to find ways and means or you can upgrade yourself that if something that you're doing, you cannot easily be replaced, right? Because if you're easily replaced, it means that your value needs to be upgraded. How are you going to increase your value if you're not a valuable person? Remember this always. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Find something that you're passionate about, find something that you love, and solve the problem. People who solve problems are the wealthiest people in the world. Look in your community, look in your country, look in your area, state, wherever you are. There's always a problem to be solved. Ideas is what create wealth. Not complaining, not sitting around watching TV, listening to the radio, or talking about what the neighbor is doing or what the neighbor is not doing. Look for the problem and solve that problem. That will create your wealth. The only way you're going to build an ecosystem, right, is you have to change the way you look at the system, right? Instead of saying what the system can do for me, say, how can I serve? How can I benefit? How can I give to the system to make it better? We are the ones who are going to make this system better by starting to trade with each other. Give you one example. If you have something in your household that you do not need, you can call up a friend and say, listen, I am selling this particular product, whether it's a furniture appliance or something, and I'm selling it for Lumi. You can sell it for 80% Lumi, 20% Fiat, because it's not like you're using it, right? Start with that. I have a table tennis club because apart from being a life coach, I'm also a table tennis club coach. And I am open 3 days per week. And one of the days that I am open, I allow the persons to come and they pay Lumi on that particular day, right? So you can have, like, if you have a business, you could have an happy hour, like between 12 and 1 to 2. And you could say, all right, people who come at that time could pay Lumi for that hour. You can say, all right, I could say, I'll accept Lumi on a particular day. Or you can look at some of the goods in your store and you could say, all right, the ones that are not moving fast, I could sell them for part Lumi, part Fiat. So these are some examples how you can actually create wealth in your particular community, right? So just remember, creating wealth is simple. First thing you do is solve a problem. 2, add value, which basically means you need to spend at least 30 minutes every day on developing what you call personal development. Every day when you wake up, the first thing you do is give thanks to the Creator. And the second thing is spend at least 20 to 30 minutes every single day in making yourself a better person. What are the things you're going to listen to? What kind of affirmations? Lock off yourself for 30 minutes. Whether you want to go under one tree, or you go in a room or whatever, and invest 20 to 30 minutes every day developing your mind. Developing your what? Your mind. Because your thoughts eventually become the things in your life. Right? Pray, meditate, and visualize. What we're doing now with this Lumi opportunity is creating wealth. But let me tell you something. You ever heard the term, they say a fool and his money will soon part? You don't want to create wealth or have money and you don't know how to spend it wisely, right? There was a book that I read by a gentleman by the name of George Clason, The Richest Man in Babylon. One of the major things I got out of that book is whatever you earn, take 10% of that and put it away and spend only 90% of your income. It means that you must pay yourself first. So if you should get 500 Rand or 500 Naira, whichever currency, take out 50 before you start to spend it. That is the rule of thumb. That is one way how you guarantee that you'll always have money. Any amount of money you earn, first thing that you do is take 10% pay yourself first, because that money will be there to pay other persons. Take 10% out of that initial income and put that away. It's similar to what ancient Africans practice. They call it first fruits. So when you have a tree, a plant, and it bears fruit, you would take a portion of that and you would give it to your neighbor before you start to take from it yourself. So use that principle with money. Take 10% out of every money that you earn, whether you earn weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, daily, doesn't matter. Every time you get income, every time money comes into your hand, take 10% and put that away. All right. I hope you were served today. Thank you for listening to me. And as I said before, it's easy, it's simple, it's Lumi. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Ambassador Konata. We are blessed. I don't know about you guys, everyone in the room. I feel blessed this evening that my book is just so full of notes. I hope you are also taking it all in. And as Ambassador Konata was talking, and I was asking myself this question, an empowering question. Balisa, are you willing or allow yourself to make those mistakes? Allow yourself, Balisa, to make those mistakes. That's when you're learning. That's where now in making those mistakes, you are progressing to finding those solutions. I'm very excited. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to. Okay, our session is going to be 1 hour, 30 minutes. We're about almost an hour into the session now. We are going to be we are now giving everyone in the room to pose their questions, their experiences, or any issues that they may be having, or something that they need assistance in as far as Lumi and creating the ecosystems within our own local areas. So this is our chance now to be able to do just that, discussing. This is a roundtable, a virtual roundtable where we are discussing just that now. Please use the chat box to talk to us, to pose you those questions or any experiences or issues you may have. Otherwise, you are welcome to unmute yourself. We'll give you an opportunity to speak to us. Just as we're waiting for those questions in the chat box, if I may just summarize what we have already been talking about from the beginning of our session this evening, from Lerato talking about creating databases of us, the people who are in the community, using the Lumi. So now we're now coming into creating ecosystems, and now we've been empowered by Ambassador Konata on changing our mindset. So the first one is solving problems. What kind of challenges do we have in our communities? When you wake up in the morning, you just spoke about something very powerful, food. That's the first thing that every day we have to eat. Every day we have to have clothing. So those basic things in our communities that we have challenges on. And add value. How can we be able to use now the Lumi digital currency to be able to add value by solving those challenges that we are experiencing in our very own communities? And very, very important is us, ourselves, our internal person. We must always have the time for self reflection, the envisioning, the reading, the talking. You just spoke about something very powerful to say if we are to create anything, it starts with our minds, our thoughts, and what we say with our mouths, and of course, what we do. So it's a very, very powerful one. Thank you so much, Ambassador Akonata. Ladies and gentlemen, we're still waiting for those questions. If there is anyone in the room who would like to unmute themselves to have something that they have something to say, this is the chance to do just that. You are welcome to use the chat box. If you are using a cell phone, when you go to the menu is those three lines, horizontal lines. You press on that, and then there will be a drop down. So you're gonna see in call messages. When you press on that in call messages, you'll see a chat box there. Then you can type your questions there. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to unmute yourself and ask any question. And as far as Lumi is concerned, and as far as creating those ecosystems is concerned, Dr. Chong, do you want to say something? I see. Oh, Debbie.
Go
Yes,
ahead, Debbie. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yeah. Good afternoon. Although I joined a bit late, but Right now, I think I have a little a challenging with my health, and I'm feeling, as I said, I have the cancer and I have some pains. I think the main thing now, I need something to solve the pain. But apart from that, my main thing is I always want to become an entrepreneur, my owner of business. So I think I would really offer need some help how to use the Lumino to become my own, what I call it, merchandiser, entrepreneur, my own business owner. So that's my main idea. But I really need some help to sort out this pain at the moment.
Okay. All right, Debian, thank you for that. Right. Remember, we are working on that health issue,
Yes.
and so after the call is finished, I can tell you what to do to totally remove the pain. Right.
Yes.
Okay. But the other issue is this: I want people to stop thinking of initially how can we use Illumi. I want people to think of what am I passionate about doing, not in Lumi. If this Lumi thing never came up,
Well,
no, wait,
oh,
no, Debbie, I am not asking you for a response.
okay,
Right, I am just talking to everybody. Right,
okay.
I'm using your question to answer everybody. Right, so thank you so much. If you could mute yourself again and just listen for the answer. Thank you. Okay, so one of the things that we have been doing is focusing too much on how we can spend, use, buy, sell the Lumi. We need to go back based on what Kanata said. And what do I really want to do? I'm so glad that Debbie mentioned she wants to be an entrepreneur, because that is exactly what I'll be working with her on, right? Because I've had several conversations with her. However, we have to understand that we have to lay the groundwork. I hope you all take notes, because before we can go on to using the Lumi, we have to go and look at moving ourselves from a consumer to a producer. Nobody can effectively use a Lumi unless they're producing something, unless they have something to sell. So you don't have to be making something, but you are making something available for sale. So if it is the things that you're collecting through your house that you want to sell, you may want to buy a new refrigerator. You have an old one that don't work too well. Offer the old one for sale. No. What I want you to do is think of developing a product or a service that without the Lumi. Without the Lumi. Something that you would want to do whether the Lumi was there or not. That is what you are going to concentrate on developing, because you're passionate about it, because you have always been interested in it. And when you start learning how to do that, then you can decide to offer 10% in Lumi, part of your markup. But we're trying to go to the end without making the initial steps. That is why we have a bottleneck right here. Forget the Lumi for a while. I keep telling people that I have not spent, I spent my Lumi once. I've just been collecting. I have thousands, and I know a lot of my friends are in that position. Several accounts, collect. And what you need to do is put the Lumi on the side. You cannot effectively use the Lumi unless you become a producer. So your first responsibility is to find something to produce, goods or services. And you will never get there unless you go through exactly. I'm going to ask Konata to just put together the or any one of us, Loretta or Paleso, They're off of my screen, but anyway, to put together just an outline of what he has done. How you have to understand the law of compensation, how you create wealth, looking at creativity, looking at the factors that create wealth, looking at those things and putting them in practice first. The rest will never happen. All persons who have wealth have used this system. So before we think of using the Lumi and creating ecosystems or anything, we have to go through this process. And when we have done that, then we will be able to identify the things that we're passionate about. And all of that is a part of the NatFam training that comes in the 4th, 5th, and 6th classes. All that he's talking about financial management and putting back so much money here, all of that is coming in. But we have got to be willing to start at number 1, because if you go to number 3 or number 5 before you do number 1, when you build up, everything's going to fall down. We've got to lay the foundations, and that's what we are doing now. This is why we are restructuring everything. We must not attempt to go to step 3 before we have done 1. 1 is between now and our next call next Sunday, putting into place everything that is here, so that next Sunday we can move straight into the next step. So all the answers are here. We have to be willing to take them from step 1 to 2 to 3. So you are going to be a fabulous entrepreneur, Debbie, but you have to start at step 1. What do you want to have the solution to? What are the problems first? Then what can you do to help with that problem? If it's breakfast and people going to work without breakfast, you have to start a cook shop. Everybody know on the way to work, and just pass by you and buy some sausage and dumpling or whatever you cook, that you cook well, right? And right there, you're adding value. You know, what is it, the challenge? Are the children going out without breakfast? Is this happening? Is that happening? What are the challenges in your home and then in your community? And that's where we start. Thank you.
If I may add to what Dr. Chung just said, Debbie, first thing you do, right, is whatever you need most, find someone and give it to. That same energy will be replicated and multiplied in your life. This is a law. If you need money, whatever little money you have, find someone and give who has less money. If you need confidence, there's always someone in your space who has less confidence than you. You can now provide confidence to that person. Could be a child, could be a niece, could be a person on the street. Once you utilize that energy from what you have, it is multiplied within you. Because remember this, life is about energy, frequency, and vibration. That energy that is within you, you say you're not feeling well, or you're having a challenge, right? Probably there's someone who is even in a more destitute, a desperate situation than yourself and needs some help. Anything that you need in your life right here and right now, find someone else who has less of that or needs it most, give it to them. You might say, oh, I don't have enough. You always have more than enough. We are creators. Wealth wealth, the accumulation of wealth is done through 2 basic ways, through competition and through creation. When you do it through competition, it shuts the door from everyone else. But when you do it through creation, it opens the door for everyone else to come up. We have already witnessed that they have created wealth through means of competition. And when I say competition, I mean like people competing against each other, fighting against each other, one tribe fighting against another, one family fighting against another. No, we're now in the period of collaboration. We're now in the period or the dispensation of creation, because you don't need to fight against another person. Whatever you are here to do, you can create it from your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chong. Thank you so much, and Tekonata. Debbie, I hope you have been answered and that you will talk to Dr. Chong after the session. I'm going to go to the chat box now. There is a question from Davan. Divan says, what steps are you taking? I think you want to ask, what steps can one take in terms of sale of seeds in Africa since the government? I'm not sure if I'm answering the question. Devan, could you please unmute yourself that you can be able to understand your question, that we can be able to answer it correctly? Please unmute yourself and and ask that question properly, because I'm not sure if I'm understanding how you've written it down now. Devan, are you in the room? If you don't mind, please unmute yourself that we can hear you properly. I just want to get an understanding, a proper understanding of your question in the chat box.
Hi everybody. I got a clip. I believe it was of the with some information regarding the banning of sales of seeds in Africa. So I'm wondering how are they going to empower themselves if they have to be paying a fortune to buy seeds, or if they're banned from if sale of seeds are banned.
Okay, Dr. Chong, would you
Yes,
please take that
yes,
one?
yes. Thank you so much, Devana, because we all know that we are in the middle of promoting seed gardens where we are not recommended that you buy seeds. We are not recommending that anybody buys any seeds to plant. The program of moving forward for the Ministry of Family and Social Economy, in order to create social economy, we are going to buy the fruit, vegetable, nut, seed, peas, beans, and grain that are grown in our nation. We need to make sure that they are grown under, not from a big farm that is using fertilizer, but from a small person who has maintained and is not getting seeds from the government. A small person who has just maintained 1 tree or 3 trees or 2 trees. You just buy all the fruits that are native to your country, all the vegetables, all the nuts, the seeds, the peas, the beans, and the grain. And I'm here to tell you, a teaspoon of grain, seeds, and peas, teaspoon each, can feed your whole community. That's what I did. I just got all of these seeds and beans, just a little bit. In fact, I had just a handful of about 15, 20 different kinds of peas and beans. And I just threw them right along the periphery wall of my property at the time. And I had every kind of seed, beans growing up on the wall. And I mean, for years and years and years and years, they just replenished themselves like that. And I had all the peas that I need for my family, and the community people would come and pick and pick and pick and pick and pick every kind of peas. So what I'm saying here is, do not buy any seeds, even if it says organic on it. Get the fruit, and if the seed won't grow from the fruit, it means that it's a bad fruit. It is GMO. So get the fruit, eat it, take out the seeds, and that's for anything that has a seed. Melons, pumpkin, tomatoes, peppers, every single thing that has a seed. And those that you do not, like the greenery that you do not have growing to seed, if you buy it before it gets its seeds, then you just take a cutting from it. So all the herbs and spices and mint and scallion and all that, take the root of the scallion, take the cuttings from the other herbs and spices, and you just stick them in water until you plant the pear seed, you plant every seed that you eat. I can't tell you this more times, because for September, those on the nut farm are planting every seed that they eat. I squeeze 10 dozen limes every week for a product that I make, and I plant thousands of lime seeds every week. I have bushes and bushes and bushes of lime suckers that I can populate the whole of Jamaica with. I've given away for people to do lime farms. That is what we all need to do. Thank you. I hope that answers you, Devana.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
Dr. Chung, thank you.
Thank you, Divana. Thank you, Dr. Chong.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're still in our session. We're just about 24 minutes to the end of our session today. This is our Q&A session. We are now taking your questions. I have a question for you, Ndate Konata, and it's regarding in one empowering themselves. For example, if one finds themselves in a situation where every day they're not thinking positive, or the energy that they are carrying is almost it's like it's a gloomy one, it's a very negative one, what kinds of things can one do in order for one to change that energy from negative to positive? You mentioned reading, so maybe if you could just elaborate a little bit to say what types of reading material can one read about, or maybe listening. You said you spoke about affirmations, things like that. So I just want to find out. Maybe I have something to say every on a daily basis, on that 20 minutes or whatever, maybe 30 minutes that I will block every day, focusing on empowering myself. What can I do in those sessions?
Okay, thank you for that question, Palisa. All right. Most things, if not all, fall into 6 basic categories, right? You have health, wealth, relationship, career, spiritual connection, and self-confidence, right? So basically, each of them would be in your particular case. When I use my personal experience, as I remember when I was going through my process, and we are still going through a process of change, right? The first question I ask is, who am I? Who am I? You have to answer that question. Who am I? Because remember, if you have to go down to the basic, the core of who you are. Am I my mother's child? Am I somebody who you call it your religion or your ethnicity? So the first thing you ask yourself is, who am I? Right? First thing, right? Once you come to that conclusion, then you start to move into, because remember, you always have the problems. I mean, you have the solution to your problems. Some of the, I could recommend some of the books that I had read, like Science of Getting Rich, Think and Grow Rich, and some basic things. Dr. Miles Monroe is also a good person to think there. Dr. Miles Monroe, he's a very powerful person. You have affirmations. The first question you ask is, who am I? The second question you ask is, where am I? Where am I? And the where am I is very powerful, because then it actually can tell you where you are in terms of your development in those 6 areas, right? Am I happy where I am? Right? Where does my passion lie? What would I do without being paid for it? That's where your passion lies now. Something you do without thinking about it, right? If you do something without getting paid for it, it basically means that this is something that you were probably born to do. And using Dr. Miles Monroe, he says that your job is what you're paid to do, but your work is what you're born to do, right? So you ask those, it's really 4 fundamental questions. Who am I? Where am I? Why am I here? Like, what's my purpose? Why am I here? When you solved all those 3, then you said, what am I gonna do about it? So I think fundamentally, at the fundamental basis, you have to ask, who am I? Who am I? You really sit down and ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? That's the first question I asked. That started a journey which still continues up to now. Because then, remember, the only constant in life is change. The only thing in life that is constant is change. That means you are constantly changing. Are you who you look at in the mirror? Is that you or is that a reflection? And there's a story about the dog who lost his bone. I don't know if you're familiar with that story. A dog has a bone in his mouth and he looks into the pond and he sees another dog with a bone. And he's like, whoa, I need that bone. And he jumps after that bone. And guess what? He loses the one that is in his mouth. Not realizing that he already had what he desired. Let me tell you something. Whatever you desire, you already have it. What you're not experiencing is you don't have access to it. And that is the thing. Everything that anyone can ever desire already exists. You might not be experiencing it, but guess what? It already exists. So what is happening is that you have a concept in your mind. So you have a conceptual, something conceptual is going on. And then you match it eventually with the experience. So you have conceptual and you have experiential. So when you move into how can I solve this problem? How can I solve this problem? How can I solve this problem? Remember, you're talking to yourself, you know. Self-talk. And it is said that 98% of your thoughts are not yours. Those are borrowed. It comes from your parents, school, church, community. Are you the one with these thoughts? Are these thoughts mine? How do I reprogram my thoughts? Because the brain has to be programmed. It's like a computer. What have you used to program all of those thoughts? Because we have like, it is said that we have like 50 to 60 or 70,000 thoughts per day. Are you aware of your thoughts? Are you thinking about what you're thinking about? Right? Remember, the first thing is, how can you relate your thoughts to your emotions to create that feeling? And you come back to feeling, because guess what? Whatever challenge or problem is there now, there's a feeling that comes with it. How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel powerless or does it make you feel empowered? Right? Emotions is different from thoughts, but when you combine the two, then that's when you create. Because if there's no emotion attached to that thought, then seldom you'll be able to manifest whatever you desire. There has to be some emotion. It's either you cry about it, you get angry, but some emotional impact has to be there. Because when you're going to change if you're really going to change your life or you're serious about changing your life, there has to be some, it has to make you so angry that you cannot take it no more. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Or it has to get you so excited. There was a thing that I heard, it says that your why must make you cry. Your why must make you cry. Oh, I made a mistake. The first question is, who am I? The second question is, where am I? Why am I here? Yeah. So whenever you're faced with these challenges, Palisa, you must ask yourself, how does it make me feel? And there's an example that you can do. You have a piece of paper and you draw a line through the half of it. On the left side, you write down all the things that make you feel bad about this issue or problem. All the negative things that you can think about. Why don't what I don't love about my life. What I dislike about my life. And then on the other side, put what are the things that I am grateful for in my life. And it can be about a particular situation or it can be a general thing. So on the left, you write down, you start with 5 to 10 things that I do not like or I do not love about my life. On the right, you write down what are the things that I am grateful about. my current life, my present life, right? Because the life that you're living now is the one that you actually prepared yourself for 5 years ago. Everything that you're doing now, you are the one that created it. So you can uncreate it. Take responsibility for what is happening in your life. A lot of times why people are not able to move from point A to point B is because they're blaming others, blaming things for what is happening in their life. Successful people take 100% responsibility for what is happening. They don't blame others. Because if you blame someone, then you have to wait until the person change for you to change. It's more empowering to look at within and say, you know what? How can I, what can I do right here and right now to change how I'm feeling? What are the things that I'm thinking? So it is very important to question your thoughts, because the thoughts are the things that will either create the solution or create the problem. You see, your mind is a very good servant, but it's a terrible master. So you have to be the one that protects the things that are coming in into your. Would you just think of your mind as a garden? Would you want somebody to throw garbage or in a garden? Or would you allow seeds, not seeds, would you allow weeds to come up in the garden? Wouldn't you take time to cultivate your garden, take out the seeds? And you wouldn't allow anybody to dump any garbage in your on your garden or your lawn. So why do you allow people to dump negativity into your mind? You are the one who's supposed to protect your mind. Approach people who are where you want to go. Listen to things constantly that uplift you and let you feel better about yourself. Associate with people who will encourage you. And most of all, read books that allow you to shut up your ego, your personality, and listen to someone who is where you want to be. I hope you were served, Palisa.
More than served. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate all the insights. I'm going to be starting.
Yeah.
I'm actually on that journey, so I'm just going to continue doing what I've been doing and adding more. Thank you so much, and Tekonata. Ladies
Yeah,
and
man.
gentlemen,
And
we are. Mhm.
Palisa, I felt your energy a while ago. Let me tell you something. You need to stand in your power. Stand in your power. Don't let anyone tell you anything that will limit you, because you are unlimited. You're limitless. We have endless possibilities, right? You have to know, be ready to stand in your power, because people will take away your power. So stand in your power, Palisa, because you're a
Thank
child
you
of the
so
universe. You're
much.
a child of God.
Oh,
Great.
unlimited. Thank you so much. I'm taking all
Yeah.
in. Dr. Cho.
Yes. Yes. I would like to just come in here and tell you all you need to make a contribution towards the Ministry of Family and Social Economy, because that what Konata has given us has so much value. So much value, right? Kanata also works as a life coach, and you have just gotten one of his free, I mean, wealth packed presentations. I would like to ask everybody listening on the call to apply everything. Although he was answering one question, the answer is for every single solitary person. And I want to recognize that on the call, we have people who are at different stages. And out of all of this, when you leave this space, it is important for you to decide what is the next step I'm going to take, because in the call we have people who are at different levels. Also, we have persons who this is relatively new to, and persons who are way along the spectrum of putting these things into place. Now, all of this is covered in NatFam module number 6, right? And I thank Kanata for giving us a heads up. But at this point in time where we are at in relationship to um, building our ecosystem, what is the next step that we must take? Because I, what should I say, glean that most persons on this call have not yet developed an ecosystem or are not a part of a good ecosystem that is going. So what? How do you change? Remember, we are spirit, soul, and body, and it is the mind that controls everything. So you have to start changing from your spirit. Every single one of us has inside of us everything that we need for the future. Kanata told us that. Everything, limitless. But where is it? It is locked in our spirit. And so the essence of getting everything from inside of you is how you manage your time. Now, that is also going to be done in October or November. How to manage your time. But just to give you a little background to that, we are spirit, soul, and body. So we must spend in each 24 hours, 8 hours for the development of our spirit, 8 hours for the development of our soul. Soul is the social and relationships, and 8 hours in the development of our physical bodies and its environment and our work and so on, physical activity. So if you are not doing that balance, where it's not that you're going to do it for 8 hours straight, it is that your focus at any point in time cannot be all on work. If you are working 16 hours, then you are a dwarf in the other areas, and you will always have problems there. If you are sleeping, which is a lot of your spiritual time for your dreams and so on, too much, then you are going to be a dwarf in the other areas. And if you're not spending 8 hours on your physical activity or focusing, then it means that you are going to be sick. You're not going to be accomplishing anything at work. And so it means that you're not spending the right amount of time on each one. So the first thing we have got to do is, as Kanata say, get into a space. Number one activity. Everybody on this call needs to go and do 30 minutes a day, just of whatever: introspection, prayer, honing your gift, just getting in touch with what is inside of your spirit. And what I usually tell people to do is go back to your dreams before you were 7, because everything was deposited into your spirit before 7. And those habits that you created before 7 are there for life. And it's so much harder to get rid of them afterwards or change them. But that's one thing that you can always do. You can change. One thing out of this. Let's look at the 3 things we need to take out of this. 1, get that 30 minutes a day. Put it down morning, noon, night, lunchtime, whenever it's meant for you. But let it be a religious thing where you are not going to. If you don't start from getting that, everything else you build up will come crashing down. Okay. Get in touch with your spirit. Then start obeying your spirit instead of obeying people around. So many times you are going somewhere and you have a gut feeling. Don't go. Something bad going to happen. And you say, come on, it's all right, it's safe. And you go and something happens. And you say, my mind is telling me so, That is your spirit. All truth is wrapped up in your spirit. You have the spirit of the eternal, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent creator in your bellies. And you have all truth. But if you don't stop and listen for half an hour, at least a day, I do 2 to 3 hours every day listening to the spirit and what it is telling me. That's where I get all my notes from. That's where I get all my ideas from for manufacturing this, that, and the other. That is where I get all my wealth creating ideas from everything. So when you spend that half an hour getting in touch with your spirit, you write the vision, make it plain so that those who come to run with it can read it and run with it. The first person has to run with it is you. So that's one thing you must do when you leave this call. Put on your timetable that half an hour, at least a day. Then,
Thank you.
yeah, then you will have, if you don't start there and you go anywhere else, you're going to crash. All right. So that is it for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chong, for that. We are about 4 minutes before we close our session today. I'm going to be handing over to Lerato, who's going to be giving us the announcements now. Lerato, over to you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Palesa. Thank you so much, Dr. Chong, Ambassador Konata. Quite empowering the session this evening. The announcements are as follows. Tomorrow, the 20th of September, the practical online sessions for NetFem, where we are still focusing on therapeutic gardens. So this is module 2 on the NetFem program. It's on. It happens at um, 1600 South Africa Standard Time. So please convert to your appropriate time zones. South Africa is GMT plus 2. So we are at 4 p.m. So that's 9 a.m. Kingston, 2 p.m. Accra, 3 p.m. Lagos, 8 p.m. Nairobi. So just be sure to uh, diarize. And the link for that should have come out or is coming out shortly. So if you don't know where to go, put an email into the Lumi for Africans at gmail.com and we'll have that link to the session sent to you. Then the next session will be happening on Thursday, the 23rd of September. And on this coming 23rd of September, we'll be focusing on training coaches. So please invite everybody that is new that needs to register for the Lumi onto that session. We'll be doing a live demonstration of on how you can register yourself and what you need. So you'll please bring everybody into that session. Then, following that, there's the open mic session that happens on the 25th of September, and all these two sessions are happening 1900 South Africa Standard Time, that is 12 noon Kingston, 5 p.m. Accra, 6 p.m. Lagos, 8 p.m. Nairobi. Please diarize and make sure you're on time. And of course, the next Sunday Summit on the 26th of September at 1900 South Africa Standard Time. Please put all these events into the calendar. And I think on that note, just from my side, thank you so much, everyone, for joining this evening. Please remember to forward your details to the Lumi for Africans with a K at gmail.com, Lumi for Africans at gmail.com. And the details I have put into the chat. So if you look through the chat, you will see all the details that we require for the database. And also, over and above, we have a YouTube channel where we post all our recordings. Please go to Lumi for Africans on YouTube and like and subscribe to that particular channel and be able to get any notifications for any upcoming videos. On that note, thank you so much. Back to you, Palisa.
Thank you, Lerato. Thank you, Dr. Chong. Thank you, Ndate Konata. Thank you, everyone, for being with us today. Let's meet again as per the schedule that has been presented to us today. Thank you once more. I'm going to adjourn the meeting for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. We've learned a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.